I have just come to one of the most popular commercial fisheries in the UK, Lindholm Lakes. Living in Holland, I do a lot of hard pellet fishing. We have some commercials where hard pellet fishing is working really well. And I'm going to have a look if that way of fishing works also over here. Luckily for me, I can meet up with my good friend, angling coach and fishery manager over here, Alex Dockerty. He has agreed to sit with me today and go through the tactics. With hard pellets being the bait today, Alex is going to show me first what we're going to need in the tackle shop. It has been a long journey. It took me 3 hours to go to the ferry, then another 12 hours on the ferry, and then a last hour just to come down here. So it was a bit of a trip, but I'm sure it's going to be worth it because Alex has promised me we're going to catch some proper fish. What a day I've chosen. It's early in the morning, it's really windy, and the weather forecast says it will even be windier today. I'm sure that's going to make the fishing even more testing.
I'm here with my good friend Maurice, who we've not seen since White Acres last year. And we've met up this morning at the tackle shop. We've been through floats and elastics, and now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of UK commercial fishing. We're on peg 16 on the famous Bonsai Lake here at Lindholm, and we're going to cover the bait, the rigs, and all the little do's and don'ts to help him fine-tune his fishing on these commercial style venues. So Maurice, I've seen you take this rig out of your box and attach it to the top kit, and looking at it, you can start tying mine for me because, in all fairness, it's very similar to an English style rig, what we'd use over here. Nice short hook length, tapered shotting pattern down to one of the AS floats, and a green power pull elastic, just in the short kit, absolutely perfect for these smaller carp F1 style venues. And to be honest, it's something I'd be more than happy myself using in my own fishing. So first task, you've definitely passed that one. That's a big tick in the box. So yeah, can't fault that at all, mate.
Yeah, the thing is, I think there's not a big difference between a Dutch F1 and a UK style F1, is there?
No, well, it's the same fish, isn't it? The same baits, behave in a very similar way. So I think, you know, that's where the similarities lie, isn't it? They're very similar, feed in a similar way, so there's no need to be massively different.
Yeah, and what I'm looking into an F1 rig, it has to be very delicate, you know, and you can also see it with the shotting pattern, you know. It just differs a little bit, you know, when it goes up.
It's tightening as you go through the rig there, isn't it?
Yeah, to just create that slow fall, that's really important for the F1s, I think.
Yeah, oh, it's massive, especially now these fish are getting bigger, they're older, they're getting wise. How your rig falls through the water can massively change what you catch. Mm-hmm. And, you know, especially this tapered bolt, what you've got here, you know, I think that is sort of my go-to rig now. I'm not sure if you're the same, but if I'm ever in doubt, if you revert back to this shotting pattern, you're never going to go far wrong.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you just combine that with a carbon stem, you know, it will just go, it just follows your bait through the water, I think.
Yeah, and then going from to the other end of the spectrum, that short hook length, you know, that shot nice and close to the hook, it's going to show up them little fine bites, and it's going to result in more fish in the net, hopefully, at the end of the day. I'm looking at this main line and, you know, my eyes aren't what they used to be, in fairness, so can you just run us through the rig, the main lines, hook lengths, and the reason why you've gone for that sort of line?
The thing is, don't overcomplicate things, you know. The main line is just 016. I prefer 016 at this time of year, you know. It's not that warm, the fish are not, you know, really having it. So later on in the year you can go to 018, but this is just 016.
Yeah, nice balance.
Yeah, and the thing is with 016, you can use just a 012 or a 014 hook length, you know. It just depends on if you're catching a lot of fish or not, you know. If it's getting harder, you want to go to 012.
Yeah.
But this one is just an 014 hook length.
Yeah, it just gives you a bit of a range of choices for hook lengths.
Yeah, you always, I think we are just all a bit of tackle tarts, you know, and I don't know if there's a very big gap between 012 and 014, you know, but you want to have something to swap to and to differ your presentation if possible then.
In fairness, that's very similar to the sort of pattern that I follow. I like to have rules with regards mainline, hook length, just to simplify my fishing for myself. And, you know, I'm a very similar thought process as you. Nice, robust mainline, but not too much of it. It's going to affect the finesse of the rig, but it also gives me a little option in terms of hook length. If I want to go lighter, I can, but I can also step up on them better days. So big thumbs up from me. Very, very similar again. But I think as we get into it, it'll probably be the little things that differ between the fisheries back at home for you and here when it comes to the baits and the feeding, which is probably what we're going to see as we get a bit more into the session.
Yeah, and when we just go to the business end, we've got a size 16 hook. I think that's not going to differ between Holland and England, I think.
No, like for me, 16, 18, very similar pattern to you. I like the B911s also. You know, it's tried and tested, it's stood the test of time, and if it's not broke, don't fix it, basically, is the thought process I use. And, you know, if there's nothing better, why change?
Yeah, and the thing is, what's on the band, you know, you can only choose between, I think, a 4mm and a 6mm, so we're not going to have any debate on that one, I think.
No, with regards to pellet fishing here, very, very similar, 4 or 6mm pellets. And I think that size 16 hook just blends nicely with both baits. It's not too big, not too small. So, yeah, very, very similar from my point of view to what we'd use here.
Okay, then I think we just have to give it a go anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, no problem. We'll get a plummet on, get sorted, and we'll get going. So, in the UK, a lot of fishing, we like to feel our way into a match and see what sort of session it's going to be, whether it's going to be a big weight or, you know, picking up odd fish here and there. So a really popular way of starting is on that short pole line. Just at the bottom of that near side shelf, you can feed a little bit of bait and hopefully pick up an odd fish or two early doors before we can make a decision about whether we're going to feed shallow, whether it's going to be a difficult day. But just by starting in this way, it allows us to not put too much pressure on the peg and hopefully pick up those few early fish. So if we just put the plummet on now, we'll have a little look around and try find that bottom of the near side slope.
Yeah, the thing is, the near side shelf, are you going first going to mark the deepest part of your peg and then come back and find the shelf or not?
I think that's a very easy way of doing it. I think if you just go past, so say 6-8 meters, and then you can find basically where that bottom begins to level up and just come back ever so slightly. And what we're looking to do is fish on a hard bottom if possible. That's going to help stop with any line bites, any foul hookers, and it'll make all the fishing a lot cleaner. The bites will be a lot better, and the fish, to be honest, just become easier to catch on a hard bottom. Yeah,
because when you go a little bit further out, there's the soft bottom, you know, a bit of the silt.
Yeah.
And when you just plump up, you feel your plummet is going to drag into the silt. You know, it sticks. It sticks
in the silt. Yeah.
And when you just come back, it's like you feel a little bit of a dunk. You know, like
you feel
the harder bottom.
The hard bottom. Yeah. That's really important.
And when you just feel that harder bottom, are you going to just fish there, or are you just going to come a little bit closer in?
I think as soon as you're on the hard bottom, what it allows you to do, it gives you a bit more room for error in terms of your feeding. You can feed a little bit more bait and get away with it still. I think if you feed too much bait on that soft bottom, what happens, the fish dig into the bottom. And what you have to imagine, that's all the silt, the mud, the debris, that's kicking up in the peg, and then the fish can't see your bait. Whereas on the hard bottom, everything's a lot clearer. They don't dig it up, it's not going to cloud up so much. And then everything, the bites and the indications are a lot cleaner, there's no foul up fish, and everything becomes a lot easier simply by plumbing up correctly.
Okay then, I'm just going to find the correct spot, and maybe you can give me a little hand how you do it over there. So
let's have a look.
I'm just going to start long, and long is just a top kit and 2. And just find that nice bottom, you know?
Yeah, so that'd be a nice starting point, and then all I'd be doing, I know it's a bit of a nightmare with this grass and everything with the wind blowing in, but that proves that the fish are going to be following, they generally follow the wind in England, so any wind or debris, it tends to mean that there's going to be some fish in the area, so it's not necessarily a bad sign. But now we've got the rough depth there, I'd just be looking to come back ever so slightly until the lake bed starts coming up. And that'd tell us where we're on sort of that transition point between the firm, hard bottom and the silt.
Yeah, you just feel it now, you know. I always use a 30 grams a plummet, you know, 30 grams is 1 ounce, I think.
Yeah, 1 ounce in
Yeah.
English weights.
I like to use a decent plummet, you know, so you can really feel bottom.
Yeah, it gives
well.
you a nice clean reading,
Yeah.
a nice true reading.
Yeah.
But one thing that, you know, I've noticed just watching you plumbing up is how much time and how accurate you have to be with it. You can see we've moved barely 2 feet of pole back and the bottom changes quite quickly.
Yeah, it does.
So something to bear in mind with commercial fishing is how accurate you need to, one, be plumbing up, and two, feeding that bait to make sure your bait is in the correct depth of water to where your float is.
Yeah, and I always like to look for a second spot or even a third spot, you know, when, like you spoke about, when there's a lot of fish in your pack and they may be clouding up, sometimes you just want to find, to fish another spot, you know, where there's not that many fish, you know, and you can just nick some extra fish off.
Yeah, it just almost tidies your peg up, lets everything calm down, settle back down, and then you can go back to catching them again.
Yeah. So Alex, how do we start?
So for me, like we said, we're going to start on that short line, and then in terms of the feeding, it depends on the size of the particle you're going to feed. Bigger pellets, 6 or 8 mils, it might be 3 to 5 pellets. Smaller baits, 4 mils, probably 10 to 12 pellets. Or if you're feeding, you know, particles such as micros, you feed a lot more. It's just down to the selectiveness of the bait for me. If you're feeding 6, 8 mil pellets, you're generally looking to target those carp. 4 mils, a bit of a blend of carp, F1s and skimmers, and micros, we're trying to be non-selective. Today, we're fishing for F1s, maybe an odd carp. That's why we've opted for those 4 mils. And if we just go in, feed those 10 to 12 through the pot, which I think is important, just to see what's happening in the peg. We're not feeding too much bait, we're not pushing the peg by throwing, and then we can react to how the fish are behaving on the day.
Oh, that's great. I've just put about 4 mils in the pot. Yeah. And we're going to give it a try, I think.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly how I'd look to start. So yeah, let's get shipped out and get catching. So we're dropping now. First drop, you know, like we said, just feeding that nice little tight pile of bait, see how those fish are reacting on the day. Then we can change if we need to. We can start throwing, or we can do things depending how they're reacting. But for now, just go in, start with that little pot, lay the rig past, let everything straighten up, and then just lower it into that bait as it settles on the bottom.
Okay, then let's give it a go. There it goes. Very nice and tidy. I will just hold the float a little bit above the water so it can just come back, you know, the rig.
Yeah, exactly the same, especially pellet fishing. Just let everything tighten up, swinging over that bait, and then we can just lower in, and hopefully we're not waiting too long. Ooh, little sign then straight away, wasn't there?
You just want to have a little bit of tip showing of the float.
Yeah, just a nice, you know, 2 to 3 mil of bristle probably, just so you can read it. I think sometimes, especially as it warms up and the fish are moving around, they're in and out of your peg, I think you can refine your rig a little bit too much, so you're striking at every little indication. And the problem is then you become quite inefficient with what you're doing. Whereas setting the float as we've got it today, we can be nice and patient, wait for what I'd call the correct indication, you know, a nice fast little dink as though the fish have sucked that pellet in, and then we can lift the rig accordingly, and hopefully we're connected to a carp or an F1.
Yeah, and just with a little bit of float tip showing, you know, you can see the difference between a bite and just a fish swimming into the line, I think.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a big difference between the two. It just helps you read what's happening. There we go. That didn't take long. Better F1?
Yeah, I think it's a nice one.
You see how that green powerful just cushions everything nice, but you're still in control. But you can see how if we hook a smaller fish, there's not going to be any risk of pulling the hook, but we're not getting ran around the lake as such by those bigger fish. Good bit of netting.
Yeah. Just a nice one, you know. You see it.
Yeah, that's about the average sort of size for this lake. Pound and a quarter. And then those odd bonus fish mixed in, those 2 to 4 pound F1s, are what help bump your weight up for, through the day. So we're about an hour into the session now. We've had a lovely little run on that original line, but things have just got a bit strange. It's become quite difficult to manage, missed bites, a few foul up fish. So what we've done, we've just come 3/4 to a full section closer towards us, and we're having a nice sort of run of fish again now, aren't we?
Yeah, it definitely works, We just came in 1 meter, or you would say about 3 foot, I think.
Yeah, English terms it'd be 3 foot, yeah.
Yeah, and it's, it makes such a difference, from full hooking fish, or seeing a lot of indications, to having just the float going under like this, and it's a real F1 bite then.
Yeah, a lot cleaner, isn't it? But for me, the big positive for that and the big reason that happens is, one, we're coming towards ourselves, so we're fishing on a much harder bottom, a lot firmer, so we're not going to have those fish digging in that soft silt, which would have been just past where we were fishing initially. But also what we're doing, we're reducing that distance between ourselves and the fish, so they're not as confident, they're not going to come up off the bottom, and then as a result...
Oh yeah, you just have a look.
There we go, proof in the pudding. Yeah, as a result, we're hooking fish a lot cleaner, the bites are more positive, and we're starting to catch really well again now.
Yeah, and the thing is, on the longer line, you just have to, is it a bite? Is it not a bite? And now it just the F1 bite you want to have, it's going on like this.
It's a lot more aggressive. Yeah, it's a lot easier to read, and as a result, we're catching one of these almost every drop in now. Yeah,
and what I want to show you, you can see the hook is just in the top lip, Yeah, it's perfect. Perfect. It's nothing wrong with this one, isn't it?
No, lovely stamp fish. Yeah. And they're the ones we're looking to catch. It's just all becoming a lot easier. It's all down to, the bottom we're coming up on, the distance away from ourselves. And it really can be the smallest things that make such a big difference. I mean, it just seems so insignificant coming that much closer to yourself. But like we say, the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, it's absolutely a great tip, Alex. Thank you.
We've dropped on this new line and it was going okay, but we're starting to miss a few bites now. And another little tip that I can give you to help, especially when hard pellet fishing, is rather than say feeding 4 mils and fishing a 6, just match that hook bait with the size of a pellet on the hook, especially with fishing for stocky F1s and smaller carp. Because for me, what's happening in my mind, sometimes the larger hook pellet is masking the hook.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's obscuring it. You're lifting, the fish have got that bait in the mouth, and it's not quite catching hold when you strike. By fishing that smaller pellet, one, those littler fish will pick the bait up a lot easier, and two, it leaves slightly more hook showing, so as a result, we're going to connect with those bites. And the other thing is, which is a little added bonus, I don't really want to tell you this, but you've got it out of me today. It helps you read what's in your peg. So if all of a sudden we're dropping in, we're catching them little stockies, those 4 to 6 ounce fish, it tells you there might not be so many of the bigger fish there.
Okay, then.
Whereas if we're fishing and we're catching those larger F1s, it's telling us, right, it helps you plan your day out a little bit easier once you read what's coming into your peg and what's feeding.
Yeah, because you're really, with the 4 mils feeding, 4 mils on hook, you're really blending it in,
Yeah, I think it's a big thing. I think too many people are obsessed with big standout bait. Let me see what's coming into my peg. I want to fish for those bigger fish. Whereas by doing it in this manner, what you're doing is, one, you're building a picture of what is in your peg, but two, you're taking what will come. And then later on in the day, when those bigger carp and F1s are feeding, you can then be more selective and tail the approach to do that.
Yeah, that really makes sense. It really makes sense, Alex, I was really happy to see this bite because of the light.
Oh, you're starting to struggle with the bristle a little bit?
Yeah.
I mean, the beauty of these floats, the new AS range, the bristles are all interchangeable. So like today, for instance, the light's coming and going, 1 minute it's overcast, the next the sun's out. All these bristles interchange, so if you feel we want a yellow bristle, we can switch, or if, say, it's a bit that broken water where a black bristle's better. We've got them, so we'll just stick one on now. It just helps. What colour are we thinking? So we'll swap to a yellow bristle.
Yeah, I think we go for the yellow ones. And those bristles, they're solid, aren't they?
Yeah, they're a solid tip, so even though we're swapping between the bristles, it's not going to affect the shotting of the float as such. It'll all sit beautifully. We've got it nicely trimmed down so we can see those delicate bites.
Okay, just hang on, yeah. Okay, lovely, thank you. Yeah, I'm just going to switch them.
I don't know if you're the same as me, but the amount of pole floats that I've destroyed, swapping between bristles and things like that, it just stops any of that problem now. You can just put the bristle straight in and we're good to go.
Yeah, lovely. I'll just trim it down just a little bit, and that's really easy because it's solid.
Yeah, you can trim the bristles down, you can make them whatever length. So if you're wanting to fish, some people prefer a shorter bristle, some like a longer bristle. You can just cut them down, pair of scissors or a Stanley knife blade, and they're good to go. That's better. That yellow bristle's definitely standing out a lot more than the orange one we had on.
Yeah, it looks lovely.
So another little tip for us as well, just while we're sat here, we've obviously got a few fish in the peg now. Just a little lift and drop, and there we go, right on cue.
It's fantastic fishing, isn't it?
Yeah, plenty of bites, but what I like with this style of fishing, there's definitely lots of little advantages you can gain. So, most important thing is your feeding, where to fish, but little things to just keep you nice and efficient, so little lifts rather than all your rig coming out of the water when you're striking, and just almost picking up at the correct indication rather than wasting time. And since we've swapped that bristle, we can pick it out a lot more. It's easy, the float contrasts against the water a lot better. And what it's allowing us to do is read what them fish are doing. And I think, to be honest, it's a big tip, and it's something a lot of people don't pay enough attention to. The colour of that bristle, really being able to pick it out so you can understand what the fish are doing in your peg.
Yeah, that's all about. That's fishing all about, isn't it?
Yeah, if we can understand them, we can then work out what to do and then hopefully put more fish in the nets.
Yeah, that's true. Lovely. So Alex, I will call that one the last fish. What a brilliant venue, and you are a great company, to do such a great fishing in here.
Yeah, no problem, mate. Hopefully, unfortunately the weather's been against us, as it normally is in England. We've caught plenty of fish, plenty of bites, and hopefully those tips will be something you can take home, put into your own fishing. It'll help you put more fish in the net. And fingers crossed, it's not too long till I can come over to Holland. You can show me your way, and there'll be things I can take back and bring into my fishing back here in England.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take those tips home, and I'm sure I will catch even more fish than I will do. So thanks a lot.